Welcome to British Empire Medals and Clasps, a special digital bookazine compiled from the archives of the Armour magazine. This is your guide to many of the rare, unusual or interesting medals and clasps that have been handed out by the British Army over the years. There are also related medals from major conflicts, which forms the first of three sections. In battles and campaigns, the first feature is on the long-running Peninsular War, which only turned in Britain's favour when a certain Arthur Wellesley arrived on the scene. Discover what medals were handed out to what forces. Now, in all these cases the medals were for officers or for special awards, and it wasn't until Waterloo that a general medal was issued for the troops taking part in a major campaign. So it's the Battle of Waterloo medals next, with the British awards and also ones handed out by some of their allies. Now, Waterloo is possibly the most famous British battle ever, but there are a couple of others that are pretty close in terms of name recognition. One of those is the charge of the Light Brigade from the Crimean War. Thanks to the advent of war photography, this was the first overseas campaign where the British public got to see exactly how and where their soldiers were fighting. With reports, poems, photos and films, the ill-fitted charge was one of the more pointless and badly led actions in British military history. We take a look at the medals awarded for the Battle of Balaclava, in which the charge took place, as well as the wider Crimean War. The other high-profile battle was a relatively small and strategically fairly unimportant clash between British forces and thousands of Zulu warriors at Rorke's Drift. Thanks to the earlier catastrophe at Isandlwana, the subsequent heroic defence of the missionary station at Rorke's Drift received a huge amount of attention, receiving the most Victoria Crosses awarded for any single battle. Of course, it was also made into the classic 1960s war film Zulu, where, interestingly, relatives of Private Henry Hook were still alive for the viewing. Unfortunately, as Hook had been turned into a work-shy rascal for the benefit of the film, they were less than pleased with the depiction and duly walked out. By the time we get to the Boxer Rebellion, the idea of campaign medals for the common soldier was well established. Here was an interesting campaign that was backed by almost all the Western powers, who duly issued a variety of medals for taking part. In this section, also look out for medals for the First Afghan War, the Mahdist War, the Battle of Tel el-Kebir and the Pathan Rising. There are more modern campaigns, including those for East Africa and Gallipoli in World War I and the Malayan Emergency Campaign. The next two sections deal with lesser known actions, battles or rare clasps to campaign awards. In section 2 we have the earliest medallic awards of the 18th century, such as the Deccan Medal of 1784 and interesting ones issued by the British East Africa Company and the North Borneo Company. These companies were basically doing the work of the British Empire in foreign lands, much like the East India Company did before its Indian holdings were taken over by the Crown. Other medals to look out for here include one for the defence of Kelat-i-Gilzi in 1842, the Siege of Seringapatam, the First Arctic Medal, Fatshan Creek, the Siege of Khartoum, the Maida Medal, and one for Mweli in 1894-95. The final section is on 20th century medals, starting with the Polar Medal for Exploration in 1904. There's the Natal Medal of 1906, the Northwest Frontier Medal, the Kissy Campaign Medal, the Lusitania Commemorative Award for the sinking of the passenger ship, and the less well-known medals from the First Gulf War, issued to British troops by Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. I hope you'll enjoy looking through all these battles, campaigns and actions, where there's something to suit the pockets of all medal collectors.